I talk about putting it together. So after drilling these smaller holes to 2.5, I forced a bolt in 3mm. The bigger holes are drilled to 3.5. They might, need cleaning out with a drill bit. And I'm going to force a 4mm bolt into each of those. That'll cut the threads, and the threads will basically mould round the bolt to a large extent when you come to put the other bolt in. Now I'm using a cap head bolt here. I find that these cap head grip a lot better than the I've got one handy, there's one there, this is a bigger one than the button head. These are quite shallow compared with the cap head that the bit can go into. That's a 4mm, so I might be able to use that on these. But I do the tapping technique where screwing up, well, about 2 turns and then out quarter, half a turn, then back in again until it's got the threads in there. I would do that first before putting the blades on. So I've got one of these, well, you need 2 of these bearings. I'll show you one of them. That's this type of bearing here. Okay, pop that on this bolt, 22 by 130. Now I have noticed that the heads on these are shorter one I bought, are slightly different sizes. So watch out, I don't know what's going on there. Pop that in there, so that's somewhere near. I'm going to pour washer on the other side. Put that washer on. 20. These are half nuts, what are known as half nuts. They're half the thickness of a presumably standard nut. That thing, and basically you just got to screw that up. And obviously going to tighten that up so that will push against there and pull this bearing into the, there's a like inset in there, same as on this part. Yeah. Make sure that it's going, once you get reasonably tight, that it's going to go into line, it's not going to be offline. Gradually, as I'm tightening that up, it's squeezing that bearing into the inset there. I'm just doing this by hand, that's enough in this case. You might need some pliers. Tighten that up snug, undo it all, and basically do exactly the same with this one. So there's like a left hand side, there's a right hand side, but you just do the same on there. I'll take this bolt out, put it in there and carry out the same actions. So there we are, the 2 bearings are seated into the inset type things on there. Now you want to remember which way this is going to cut. Going to be turning this way. Let me double check that actually. So pop the bolt in, put a half nut on, .22mm. Now you don't want that tightening up, leave a bit of a gap, a couple of millimeters say. 2 or 3 millimeters. Then I'm going to use a Nord washer. That's one of these. These have ridges on, as you might see there. They're slightly bored, so the bore is going almost like that. Put one of those on, and then I'm going to put first cut. Now be careful with these are very sharp. These are for cutting metal. Making sure that the teeth are going to go the cutting direction, which is like the flat edge, not the edge that's bumping out here. See how that edge bumps out there? So it's going to be cutting more in that direction. Then I've got some plastic washers. So here's one of the plastic washers, and it's got this bump on here. That's for keyway. These cutting discs do have a keyway in. So I'm going to slide that on facing that way and line up the keyway. Again, being very careful here, because these are razor sharp for cutting metal, as I say. When I can find the keyway sort of slot in there, it's okay. Then another cutting disc, and I'm going to continue on like that. Cutting disc, plastic washer with a keyway in. I'll just double show you that. So there's the keyway there. That's basically to stop it rotating. Feel how sharp those are. So I'll get some more washers and I'll continue on like that. So it's cutting disc, washer with a keyway plug in, and then so on, and then cutting disc, plastic washer. So there we are, 1, 2, 3, 4 cutting discs and those plastic washers with the keyway inside. Put on another Nord washer, but this time the almost, so the bump, the vase part is on the outside. Put another half nut on this side, and these two half nuts want tightening up together. Once we get this on here, oh, it's come off that keyway. That's alright, so pop it on there. Now those keyways aren't going to stop it turning, it's just the way they're made. Right. The more wrench won't really fit onto this nuts when you've got these parts together. So I've designed and printed this part, which is to lock, almost lock this nut on. You have to line it up a bit. There's a bit of looseness there. Before I do that, I'll just reline those up again. I'll check that these are central, because I've been mucking about with it. So which way up does this go? That way up. Yeah, that's new enough central. Because what I found when I was tightening this and holding this end bolt head here is the whole thing was screwing down towards the bolt head, like that way. So this nut certainly does need holding. I can use a more wrench on here. This is printed to 100% to make sure it's got nice lot of strength. Mind you, some say that 80% is stronger than 100%. This is PLA. And I'm really pushing it as hard as I can go, really. And stuck a bit in there now. Let's have a look. Slight, don't know if you can see it, very slight dent. Can I get the camera on that? just a very slight dent there where the edge of the nut has been digging in. Not bad at all. Put that back on. Make sure it's still in line. No things like this. Now this does go up a certain way. It's got some like angles on here on the underside. Always make sure that this bolt head is pushed up against the bearing here when you're doing any sort of lining up. Yep, that's alright, that's central. So I'm going to screw, well, both these bolts in. And then I'll come back. So 4 longish bolts, 110mm, washers on each sort of side. These are Allen bolts, don't have to be Allen bolts, but do pull them in from, hang on, have I got the side right here? No, I want these turning round actually, because this will be on the outside and this will be needing any sort of motor you have, and if you're wanting to withdraw the bolts out, they're going to be banging against the motor, so I'll have to swap the direction of these round. That's okay basically, but these are Nylock nuts. I'll just swap them round off camera. So based on the experience of the other ones, if you have a motor here and you try and draw these bolts out this way if you need to get in or something, then the bolts are going to bang against the motor like this. So you want the bolts actually putting in this way around, so that the heads are away from the head of this big bolt, because this is going to be connected to the drive motor. There we are. So that, like I said, nuts want to go on the same side as this bolt head. These heads want to go on this side. I'm going to put a half nut on here. Again, making sure this bolt head is all the way up to the bearing. Tighten that up a bit. Make sure that it can rotate. We don't want it overly tight. We want that to freely move. And bring in the other bolt. And basically I'm going to tighten those against each other. So that acts as a locking nut. This one here. Again, I can use this on this inside nut and hold it against this, in this case this Allen bolt, and tighten that up. That's okay. Yep. Right, now this is what I term as a wear plate. So this, if you know it's getting worn out, this could be printed. If this gets worn out though, it's easier and quicker and less plastic to print that out. There's 3mm Allen bolts countersunk to go in these holes there. I'll put those in and then I'll come back. Okay, well there we are, the 8 countersunk screws put in. Now this is like, well, I'm going to call it cutting plate. I think this is going here. 4 4mm bolts to go in there. These bolt holes, if you want to fit a metal plate on there, or maybe plastic wear plate, and then this always hopper, half hopper, in a way to go on here. 3mm bolts in there. These are for 3mm bolts. Got holes in the side here, because depending how well this goes, I might make a like a hinged thing that'll have a plate on that'll press on the parts and press down so that they do get cut. So I'll put the 4mm bolts in here, then I'll come back. Okay, and I did find this useful, very useful really. This part here to was lock on a bolt, stop it moving about. Same on that bolt there, nut I should say there, to tighten them up against each other, locking nuts. Well, that's the basic first part. I'll show you underneath. So this does have a bit of a like slant outwards on here. So 4 cutting blades. These obviously to bolt down and give you some adjustments side to side. Right, that's the first part of that. I think I'll stop the video here because I need to print out. I'm going to use this off an electric drill motor mains, and I need to print out the like thing that supports that. I just repeat that these 2 holes there, 4mm balls. That's for like a, or 2 plates to come up in a hinge, almost like a lid to come down to the centre of the lid that could press onto these blades, because they do need a bit of pressure. Well, a single bladed tester did of this needed quite a bit of pushing down pressure onto these cutting blades before it would cut, because plastic parts, even this 100% infill, is still quite light. But I'm going to test it without that on before I print anymore. Now, as I say, be very careful with these blades, they're extremely sharp. Make sure that can freely move.